For most of modern medicine, blood has enjoyed a sort of VIP status as a sterile, tightly regulated fluid, the elite nightclub of the human body, where only the coolest immune cells and life-sustaining molecules were allowed past the velvet rope. But as it turns out, this high-class assumption may have been a little premature. Recent discoveries are throwing a surprising wrench into our textbook biology. It seems that our blood, the very essence of our inner purity, may be home to a hidden microbiome. Yes, a microbiome, like the one in our gut or on our skin. Only this one resides in what was once considered the last microbial-free frontier. This revelation is a bit like finding out your private jet has been quietly giving Uber rides to invisible hitchhikers. Researchers using highly sensitive sequencing technologies have uncovered bacterial DNA in the blood of healthy individuals. These aren't signs of sepsis or infection. There's no fever, no white cell panic, no medical drama. Instead, there appears to be a quiet, perhaps symbiotic, presence of bacteria or their genetic signatures, raising the question, are these microbes freeloaders, friends, or secret puppet masters orchestrating systemic effects from the shadows? Let's consider the implications for immunity first. If the blood microbiome is real, and increasingly, it looks like it is, it might be subtly shaping how the immune system stays alert without overreacting. Think of it as the equivalent of a house cat periodically knocking things off a shelf just to make sure you're paying attention. Low-level microbial presence might help the immune system practice restraint, hone its pattern recognition, and prevent it from slipping into autoimmune overdrive. On the flip side, an imbalanced or misbehaving blood microbiome could stir up chronic inflammation, one of the most consistent villains across aging, cardiovascular disease, neurodegeneration, and probably your least favorite joints. Then there's the tantalizing question of how these microbes get there. Are they escapees from the gut? Ghosts of ancient infections? Or perhaps they hitch a ride on immune cells, lounging in the bloodstream like tourists on a lazy river? Some theories suggest that microbes may translocate from the gut during minor intestinal permeability episodes, crossing into circulation without sparking alarm. Others point to the possibility of intracellular bacteria living within immune cells, cloaked in molecular invisibility cloaks. It's like the world's tiniest spy thriller happening in your veins. If true, this blood microbiome may play a role not only in health, but in the pace and style of our aging. Several studies have linked low-grade endotoxemia, the presence of bacterial products like lipopolysaccharides in blood, to metabolic dysfunction and aging phenotypes, including insulin resistance and muscle loss. But what if the story is more nuanced? What if, instead of being a sign of decay, some bacterial signatures in the blood are part of a dynamic equilibrium that keeps us sharp, efficient, and yes, possibly even younger? There's even a cheeky speculation that blood microbial profiles could one day serve as a kind of bioage signature, more predictive than your chronological birthday. Imagine a future where you get your blood sequenced not just for cholesterol, but for the vibes of your inner microbiome squad. Congratulations! Your bloodstream is colonized by youthful, cooperative bacteria. Your biological age is 33. Try to avoid kale for a week to keep them humble. Of course, it's early days. Much of what we know comes from small studies and contamination-prone sequencing efforts, so skeptics aren't wrong to raise an eyebrow. But the idea that we're carrying around a stealth ecosystem in our most vital fluid opens a completely new chapter in personalized health, immunology, and perhaps even longevity science. It challenges the sterile model of blood and instead paints a picture of dynamic surveillance, invisible alliances, and microbial fingerprints that may help explain the undercurrents of aging and resilience. In the end, the blood microbiome feels like one of those science stories that starts off sounding like a fringe theory, only to end up in a Nobel lecture 20 years later. For now, it's a field full of mysteries, unverified possibilities, and more questions than answers. But one thing's for sure, your blood might not be as lonely as you think. So next time you feel tired, inflamed, or just inexplicably wise beyond your years, remember, you could be hosting a microscopic conference of bacterial influencers with opinions on everything from metabolism to mood.